Gio Ponti. The designer, the architect, the painter, the poet, the professor, the artist, the writer, the innovator, the artistic director, and so much more. Born in Milan, Italy in 1891, also passing in Milan in 1979. He earned a degree in architecture at the Polytechnic University of Milan. However, having interrupted his studies after serving his country in World War I, he graduated later than expected, which was in 1921, from the university, where he then, in fact, later held a professorship. One of the most famous and influential architects of the 20th century, Gio Ponti revolutionized the worlds of architecture and design. He took his first job with an Italian ceramics company, serving as art director, and began to pursue architecture soon afterward. It is possible that his early career in ceramics design influenced the rest of his career, as Ponti never viewed architecture as simply creating buildings. Instead, he often conceived the building's interior as well, creating furniture, chairs, coffee tables, lighting, appliances, and even items like ceramics, glassware, and silverware. As designer to the ceramic manufacturer Richard Ginori, he produced a porcelain that was exhibited at the first Monza Biennale in 1923 and at the Exposition des Arts Décoratifs et Industriels Modernes. Tony Bollet commissioned him to make a new range of cutlery. He asked him to design his villa at Garches in Paris. This villa, together with the slightly earlier house on Via Radicchio in Milan, showed Ponti to be a sensitive neoclassicist who was at the same time already leaning towards an individual brand of modernism, which in less than a decade was to characterize much of his work. He designed the first espresso machine, the Pavoni, in 1949, and also in 1951 completed a second major office building in Milan for the Montecatini Company. As if creating entire structures from the outside in wasn't enough, Gio Ponti also lectured at the university level, inspiring future generations of architects all over the world. He played a valuable role in publishing, serving as the inspiration behind 2 prestigious art and design magazines. Ponti's goal was to integrate the art and architecture worlds, as he believed a building should both serve a purpose and be a visually pleasing addition to the city. He is remembered as an artist, an architect, writer, innovator, painter, poet, and professor. His unique designs still have relevance today, as the originals are considered valuable collector's items and some creations are continually reissued by various manufacturers. Viewing the immense body of creative work Gio Ponti left for the world, one might wonder if the man ever slept. One of his most famous designs is the Ligera side chair model 646, created in 1951. This chair has been of high importance to the history of design, as it has given inspiration to all the designers after the 1950s to create similar chairs but always being improved. That's what good design is, the ability to be innovative, and this chair has shown that, as it can be improved and advanced when more utilities become available and more products are up for use. Since 1951, the chair has advanced, and the making of it is still very similar from over 60 years ago now, which shows a good design structurally, functionally, and aesthetically. 5 of Dieter Rams' Principles of Good Design. Good design is innovative. The materials used are ash and cellophane rush to make the chair, which is environmentally friendly to an extent, also being natural resources that can be sourced easily and would be cheaper to get and use. Because the chair is made out of the materials and the chair's function is for people sitting on top of it, I would say yes, it is in its function. The design is simple yet so effective and is shown throughout the chair. Good design makes a product understandable. The design created is very self-explanatory. as the chair is a simple product that everyone knows how to use, as it is an above-ground area that you sit on for comfort, ground lift to be sitting by a table or bench, and purely just to sit down to watch something, to eat at a table, to work at a desk, etc. The design is very clever and makes for this product to be very understandable. Good design is unobtrusive. Gio Ponti's chair design, although really nice and modern, it's a very simple and neutral complex, as the design is quite beautiful in itself, yet it has lots of room for creativity and the user's self-expression. To add cushions, ribbon, or even chair covers to make the chairs more unique and the user's own, which is a good design that is more functional than it is an artwork. Needs to be unobtrusive, and that's exactly what Ponti's chair does. Good design, it's thorough down to the last detail. I think Gio Ponti's design is really thought down to the last detail because it would have to be functional, would have to work, would have to last, would have to be a good product that is worth buying, and more. And being a designer, I'm sure he was a perfectionist, and he would have been very thorough to the last detail. Regardless, the time he spent on making this design would have been worth it, because look at how much he succeeded with his design and with the chair itself. Good design makes a product useful. Gio Ponti's design is a really good, useful product that is used daily and can be used at many different times of the day and can be put anywhere in the home. Because the design isn't too over the top or too decorative, it makes for a simple design that will be used and not seen as a "don't sit on that chair, it's too special and it's too pretty to use," which would defeat the purpose and the point in buying the chair in the first place. So Ponti's design of Ligera side chair, I believe he makes the product useful and very efficient and has done it very well. In learning about Gio Ponti and the influence and history in his work and lifetime, and then comparing it to mine, and if there's any connections, I found it really interesting. Because my previous works are more photographs, and comparing a photograph to a functional design is really hard to see a connection as they are in different categories. But there is certainly a connection between a designer and a photographer, and in this case between myself and Ponti. For example, I love capturing the environment and creating an artwork that is really organic and environmentally bound, whilst Ponti uses the environment to create his design to be a 3D object that is also organic and environmentally friendly. As a photographer, I must stay as true to myself and the images I take as possible, because an honest image is the best image, whereas Ponti's designs also must be honest and true to what they say they can do. Finally, I really feel the connection between a photographer and a designer, both being perfectionists and finding the perfect photo or the perfect design. They both are very thorough down to the last detail to make sure it will work, look good, and have so much detail in the piece that users and people will love how much thought has gone into it. So yes, I have learned some new tricks of the trade to go into my future works, whilst learning a lot about someone's creative lifetime that had such an influence on the world and in our history. Gio Ponti.